Yes, Pam.
கேட்டதுக்கும் அது மேக்சிமம் வந்து இப்போ புக்ஸ் அவ்வளவா படிக்கிறது இல்லை அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி நிறைய பேர் பதில் சொன்னாங்க. ஸோ
Mm-hmm.
புக்ஸ் ஆப் தேவையா அப்படிங்கிறப்போ மேக்சிமம் தேவையில்லை அந்த மாதிரி தான் சொன்னாங்க.
Okay. நீங்க யார்கிட்டலாம் கேட்டீங்க? வாட் கைண்ட் ஆஃப் யூசஸ் டிட் யூ ஆஸ்க்?
ஒர்க்கிங் ப்ரோக்ரஸ்னா இது நம்ம சீனியர் சிட்டிசன் அந்த மாதிரி.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Anyone else? Have you guys also got the same? Yes, Amir.
சார் நான் மோஸ்ட்லி ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் கிட்ட கேட்டப்போ அதிகமாக சொன்ன ப்ராப்ளம் வந்து ஹை காஸ்ட் சொன்னாங்க.
Okay.
ஸோ
Oh.
ஒரு மேக்ஸிமம் 6 months தான் ஒரு செம்மு. அதுக்காக ஒரு நியூ புக் வாங்கினா அது அவங்களுக்கு ஒரு லாஸ் மாதிரி இருக்குது. ஸோ அது வந்து நிறைய பேர் சொன்னாங்க. செகண்ட் ஹேண்டில் வாங்குறதுக்குமே போய் சர்ச் பண்ண முடியல. ஒரு ஸ்பெசிஃபிக் புக்கை வந்து சர்ச் பண்ணி பை பண்ண முடியலன்னு சொன்னாங்க. அப்புறம் கொஞ்சம் பேர் வந்து இப்போ மோஸ்ட்லி புக்ஸ் வந்துட்டனால புக்ஸ்லாம் யாரும் வாங்குறதில்ல. ஸோ ஆப் வந்து அந்த அளவுக்கு யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்களான்னு டவுட்டு தான், அந்த மாதிரி சொன்னாங்க சார்.
Okay. Atmika, Amulya?
Sir, in a general way, what I want to say, you are doing the research is like before doing or creating or introducing any application, user research is very important because whether the applications or the features it's already existing, people may not use that. So if anything features are new or people want any new features other than existing one, we can go ahead and we can ask for the users itself what features exactly you're looking for in a particular applications and the issues and the difficulties they are facing, whether they are actually willing to use the app or any applications. If we do that survey, it will be very useful. Otherwise, the existing application, if we introduce, means it's waste of use, I think.
Okay. Atmika?
எஸ் சார். நான் எடுத்த சர்வே படி பார்த்தா நிறைய ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் சொல்றாங்க இந்த மாதிரி புக் எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் ஆப் இருந்துச்சுன்னா நல்லா தான் இருக்கும். பிகாஸ் யாருக்கிட்ட எனக்கு தேவையான புக் இருக்குன்னு எனக்கு தெரியல. அப்படி ஒரு ஆப் இருந்துச்சுன்னா அவங்க எங்க இருக்காங்கன்னு தெரிஞ்சு மேபி என்னால பாரோ பண்ணிக்க முடியும். லைக் செகண்ட் ஹேண்ட்லனா பே பண்ணி வாங்குறத விட யாரெல்லாம் வில்லிங்கா இருக்காங்க டொனேட் பண்றதுக்கு அப்படின்னு அந்த ஆப் மூலியமா தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டா யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும். ஸோ அதுக்கு ஒரு ஆப் இருந்தா நல்லா இருக்கும்ன்ற மாதிரி தான் சொல்லியிருந்துச்சு.
Okay. I think all of you have different opinions on is an app required or not, but I think we shouldn't, look from an app perspective. What we should do here is, yes, Amulya.
Sir, and based on the questions I asked, what I know means the price is the first priority they are prioritizing when buying an books. So we can prioritize the books based on the different, for the same book, different sellers at different price. We can do a filter on that, and many people were facing network issues. So people can choose a book in offline, and whenever they get network they can buy that time, and price based on the old, new, or used, based on the how much years they have used, then we can change the prices like that. If the app has good features, means people are willing to use an app for exchanging books.
Okay. Right. So what we'll do is we'll just go through one of your books. Just let me screen. I'll share Amulya's work. I think it'll be easy for everyone to understand. I think Amulya submitted it in a format where it is presentable. Say, for example, in a pie chart. I'll show you guys. The screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think these are the questions that Amila had asked. So if you see purposes, research was to identify the specific needs and pain points, right? So this is a question that she asked, how do you usually acquire your academic books? So during research, what we wanted to do is, if you're trying to solve a problem, we need to understand what the users are or how the users are doing that today. What are the pain points and how are they solving it today is first we need to identify. So I think how do you usually acquire your academic books is the first question. It's a very good question on identifying the user behavior, right? Like if the user answers this, I think we'll be able to understand how are they doing it today. Are they going to stores or are they getting it from their seniors or all these things, right? And if you're saying which online, I think all these questions are really thought out and good job, Amulya. I think uh, I'm not sure how you came up with these questions, but really good. I think you have understood the problem, right? And we'll go to the next one, right? So, how do you usually acquire books for your academic courses? Is see the more 45% of them, the total of 20 people, 45% of them had said exchange with friends and classmates. So, what this means is like people are okay with having secondhand books. It's not like they want to. Most of them are not very keen on buying just new books for every semester, right? As Amir mentioned, uh, people are okay exchanging books because of the high cost for new books. They usually exchange books. Like these are the information or data that helps us validate on do people really buy books every time or they exchange, right? And the second question, if you see how frequently do you exchange, and we would assume if this question is not asked, what we would assume is so a semester is just 6 months, and we would assume that users generally or students generally exchange books only once a semester, right? But if you see this here, the majority of them have said a few times per semester, and the next 30% goes for regularly, like it's more than 3 times per semester. So our assumption of only once per semester is in the third list, right? The first two set of users who are saying they exchange books more often than we thought or we might have assumed, right? So these are the data points that will help us decide on or even validate our hypothesis on is a book definitely needed. So if you can ask me, uh, a semester is only 6 months, right? And people don't, if we are in the assumption saying people don't exchange books like 2 months once or 3 months once because they do it at the beginning of the semester and they don't exchange books after that. And you might argue saying, why is an app needed for this? Because it is going to be used only 6 months once. And but this question gives us a different data point of saying people even do it 3 times per semester. So in this case, we're able to validate, okay, a book exchange app might really be helpful for people, for students because they do it not just for once a semester, they do it very often, right? So from all these questions, we get certain information on whatever we thought is right or wrong, right? Where do you commonly go for search books? So the first majority of the people have said local bookstores is the first thing. 45% now, so it's almost 50% have said local bookstores. So why local bookstores? Again, it's a validation of saying people don't want to buy new books, right? So all these questions and data points give us or assure us saying people definitely prefer second-hand books over new books. So now if you're saying second-hand books, you'll have to identify on why second-hand books. There can be multiple reasons, right? There can be reasons of they don't have access to new bookstores or they may not be able to afford it, or right they might think like I don't want to spend too much just for one semester. So these are the points that uh, you can derive out of this question. It's not just about buying from local bookstore, but you should also ask questions on why a local bookstore, right? See, what motivates to you buy books? See, the follow-up questions that is asked is like if you're buying from a local bookstore, what does it motivate you to buy from a local bookstore or exchange apps? Is the first thing or the two things on the priority list is to save money, obviously, right? And to help other students. uh, right? People want to exchange book because they want to give it to their friends, they want to give it to their juniors who can't afford it, or to save money. Like as we said, the first point is people, most of the people don't. It's not like they can't afford it, or sometimes it can also be like uh, I don't want to spend too much of time, even though I can afford it. I don't have to, sorry, I don't have to spend too much of money into just books, right? Because books are today costlier and you don't want to spend some 300, 400 bucks on each book, right? So these are the reasons that will help to identify even our, things are right or wrong. Will help validate our uh, doubts that we have, right? Now, what is the biggest challenge you face in acquiring academic books is high cost of new books. See, every question is kind of validating our hypothesis or validating our doubts on, okay, these are the reasons that users don't go for new books, right? How reliable is your book delivery? Okay, so I just want to show you guys to help you understand. Help you understand. Oh, Pawan has left. Okay, fine. So all of you have done this. All of you have asked similar questions, but I showed Amulya's, homework just because we'll be able to understand it better because it had pie charts in it. So I think most of you have asked the same question, so it's good. Uh, so from this, we'll be able to identify uh, what are the pain points and are users really looking forward to exchanging books or not. So this is the research, basic research that you have done to identify books exchange is definitely happening. People are not just going buying new books, they are definitely looking for second-hand books. There can be a lot of reasons, right? But our basic idea of book exchange app is validated now. So now how do you go about this is the next part, right? So we'll start with So I think last time we started with define and research, right? So we defined our problem, we went into research, we identified the basic pain points and our user tried understanding user behaviors and all that. So today we'll be covering a part of another research technique and also analyze the data. How can you analyze the data and what all insights can you get out of it? So the next thing that we'll be covering is user persona. But what are user persona? Um, we have touched upon this earlier also. So user persona. So basically, what we do is anytime we build an app, we know a set of users who are we going to build it for. So in this book exchange app, our user persona is majorly students. But if you want to expand this to not just academic books, but your normal fiction and non-fiction book, your story books, your user persona or users, the user base becomes large. It's not just restricted to students. It can be professionals, it can be homemakers, it can be like even old age people, right? It can be anybody. So your user base actually expands when you generally talk about a book exchange app. So I'll leave the user persona of book exchange app to you guys to decide and do the homework on. But for understanding, I'll again go back to the same use case or same app that we discussed on the last class, the EV charging station finding app, right? So why do you need a user persona is, so now we have identified, so any app that you take does not cater to just one user base. So today we are, just for simplicity purpose, we're talking about book exchange app. But in terms of, like, for the example that we are discussing today, the EV exchange app does not just contain one user base. It has different kind of users, right? Like we spoke in the previous class, it can be homemakers, it can be working professionals, it can be students. It has a lot of different types of user bases. Now, what are user personas? We pick each person from a user base. Say, for example, we pick a working professional and we create a user person out of it. But why do we do it? User personas help us identify different pain points or it's not, see, a EV station app, a working professional is not going to have the same motivation or same problems to use the app compared to a people who's compared to an housewife or a homemaker who's at home, right? So only when you define a user persona based on your user group, you will be able to cater to all the kind of user base that you're trying to target for. In this case of an EB app, I'll take one user persona, then we'll identify um, different kinds of other things, right? Before going into app specific, I'll give you a small example of how user personas help Starbucks, you know, do certain things, right? So I think all of you might know Starbucks is, right? What Starbucks is, right? I'll not be able to see your screen if you raise your hands. Just can you someone say yes or no? Yeah. So Starbucks, as we all might be knowing, it is a coffee shop basically. It started in America. It's just a coffee shop. So in the early 2000s, what Starbucks realized is it had a very good market share. It had a lot of business going on successfully, but based on the user's personas of targeting, the user base was people who wanted to have coffee leisurely, come and sit inside the cafe. It was a cafe setup where you go dine in, ask, order your coffee or your whatever you want, you drink it, you leave the store, right? But they wanted to expand their user base. So what they identified is they identified a different sort of user personas in the early 2000s. Say for example, people who are traveling for work, right? So they start from home and they reach work. In between, they don't have time to go sit in the restaurant and order. So it might take some 30-40 minutes of the time. By that time, they might also go. Their preferences was to reach the office quickly. But Starbucks identified this, and what they brought in was the drive-through centers. If you had seen, I think most of you would have seen this in movies, right? You don't have to go sit in a restaurant. What you can do is you can just drive through and then order it, get it from within the car, get your orders within the car, like when you're sitting at the car itself. Um, but why do they introduce this? For convenience, right? People wanted convenience while traveling. They wanted to just grab a cup of coffee during commute, and this is how they identified a different set of user base, and their user persona here is not just people. If you consider a physical store, right, where you go sit and eat or drink a coffee, your user persona is a little bit different on saying people who want to consume coffee. It can be like a old age person who's just sitting at home or someone who wants to meet a friend. But a different user persona here is someone who's traveling from point A to point B. How do you even cater for their needs, right? So here they identified the second set of user base and they introduced something called as the drive-through, right? And after understanding this, this drive-through was a huge hit, right? Because this was very convenient for people to come in car and just get it from within the car. They don't even have to get down. Just order it here and then get it delivered into their car within 10 or 15 minutes, right? So this is one place where they identified. But where user persona also helps in is understanding user behaviors, right? You can improve your design based on user persona understanding, or if you really understand the behavioral needs of the user or how they behave in a certain environment. This is where your user persona helps, right? So the third image you see, second image is the drive-through where the person inside the car is getting his or her coffee from the Starbucks employee, right? The third picture, if you see, there's a what do you call it, an insulation tape kind of a thing, right? This also most of you might have seen this. But why did they introduce this? If you see here, it's just a cup. But if you see here, there's a cap and also there's another holder kind of a thing for the entire cup itself.
So slide has not changed.
Yeah, the third picture I'm saying.
I can see.
Is screen not visible?
Only it's in seconds.
Oh, sorry. Now? Oh, 1 second. Right, I'll reshare again. Now?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. So second picture is the drive-through picture where people sit inside the car and then get their coffee or whatever beverage they order delivered in their car itself. Right? The third picture, if you see, the cup in the second picture and the third picture is a little different. If you see here, this is just a plain glass, right? It just does not have any closure, does not have any this brown color tape sticking around it. But why did they come up with this cup from this? Is they identified user behaviors on, like if you're getting it in the car, it's not like you're going to park your car, eat it then and there, and then start driving again. So this was a earlier perception, but later they identified that people this convenience of people get it inside the car, not to they don't consume it at once. They don't consume, they park the car and then they don't consume it. They want to drink it throughout the journey. Say for example, if it's 30 minutes drive, they want to drink this coffee like for those 30 minutes, right? That is the second behavioral identification that they did. And then they came up with this design of the coffee where they put a lid on top, and this lid is a lid where you don't even have to open the lid every time if you want to take a sip of the coffee. There's an opening on the top here where you can just actually drink without even opening the cap, right? You can drink it directly. And the tape or this insulation thing that you see here is when you hold it there, it prevents you from feeling hot. Even if the coffee is hot, if you hold the cup, you don't feel it because this prevents you from the hotness. So these are the different and in this cup that you see on the top right also enables spill. So it doesn't spill. Even if the car is on a bumpy road, it doesn't spill at all. And the shape of the cup itself is a little different. It's in a cone structure, right? Like the reason is being we would have seen a lot of cup holders in our cars, in the cars that we have. The shape at the bottom, this easily fits into the cup holder. Where you don't have to worry about where do I place this cup again. So all these small behavioral identifications of how people interact with the cup or uh, during the journey, do they want to drink it or do they drink it at once? All these things that we study only when you define the user persona properly. Only then you will be able to cater to uh, definitely identify what are the motivations or what are the benefits of the user persona is, right? So there's a very physical example of how a user person defining and your proper user persona helps in shaping up your design or identifying what features to include or to eliminate, right? We'll now go into the actual user persona of for our EV charging station vendor. So let's take, I'm just taking one example today. Say, for example, we'll consider someone like Sanjana, who's a software engineer. We'll also tell about what Sanjana is doing. What is Sanjana basically? Sanjana is a busy software professional who drives an EV, right? For both environmental and economic reasons. But what is the problem is this is like a small bio or an about of who Sanjana is, what does she do on a daily basis, and what is a need for an EV app. She often struggles to locate nearby stations quickly and reliably while balancing demand work schedule and personal commitments, right? So next thing, so if you have defined on who your persona is, just identify that one person and then write the problems, pains and goals and benefits. So if you see Sanjana's main problem here is identifying and getting real-time data on what are the EV stations that are particularly available, right? When she's traveling for work. This is the problem. If you see, this problem is very specific to Sanjana. Like when I'm saying Sanjana, what I mean by is I'm targeting the software professionals group here. So Sanjana is a user persona who's representing a user group. So she's representing a user group of working professionals, right? So we're picking Sanjana, and then we are talking about her problems and then the pains that she goes through. Anxiety of running out of battery during commutes or trips, wasting time searching for compatible charging stations, right? And then inconsistent charging station information leading to frustration. And these are pain points not just for Sanjana. You can also see this covers a major of the people who are traveling from or who are working professionals who do travel on a daily basis, right? And what will be their goal is to find the nearest and most affordable EV charging stations, allowing her to spend time on work and personal life without the constant worry of running out of charge. And the benefits of if she's able to achieve this goal, what are the benefits is increased confidence in traveling without range anxiety, time saved from efficient route planning quickly and quick locating of charging stations, So these are some of the benefits if the app helps in letting her achieve this goal. These are some of the benefits that she'll have. So I think already you guys have a user persona in mind, like our user persona as a student. So you guys have almost covered this, but I also want you to write all these things in the next homework. Right? What is the problem that the users are facing today? The pain points, goal, and benefits. Right. So this will help us narrow down on a lot of things when you move further. So since we have now understood or we have known about what user persona is, we'll next go into another important topic of uh, jobs to be done. So what is jobs to be done, right? And why is it important? Now we've identified user personas. So since have come to a point where have decided my user base. So these are the users that are going to use my app. Now what will be a next step? Now we'll have to identify what are the basic jobs that the users will be doing within my app. Say for example, if you take WhatsApp, what will be the jobs to be done in a WhatsApp? Like some basic jobs to be done up there, right? So when WhatsApp initially started, what job, say for example, one of their user personas college students, right? When WhatsApp initially started, what would have been one of the jobs to be done? When you take an app, there is not just one jobs to be done. That's why I've said it's not job to be done, it's jobs to be done. There can be multiple jobs that you want to achieve through the app. Say in case of WhatsApp, one of the user persona as a student, right? And what the major job to be done would have been was to send messages to their friends. This is the basic jobs to be done. But you don't this at a high level, this is just one statement, right? But we can divide these into three different items. That is how you define a jobs to be done. But what is this? Is when, what, and the outcome of it, right? So in this case, in a WhatsApp use case, when is I want to communicate to my friend, right? This is a scenario, a situation is called a when. So you define the situation first. When I want to communicate to my friend, I want to exchange an information very fast. Or when I want to send a message very fast, right? This is the scenario. What you do is I send a message, right? I send a message is what? The action that you're performing is what? And the outcome is now I've conveyed my information. I'm happy and I'm also very sure that the person has read it. So the outcome is I've conveyed the information. So these are three different things in a job to be done. Whenever you write a jobs to be done, keep these three things in mind. There's a scenario, people wanted to do something, and what is that, and what is the outcome of it. This is how you define your jobs to be done. And this will help you narrow down on what are the important jobs to be done or what are the important features that you should prioritize on when you're building the app. We'll look at some of the jobs to be done for our EV charging station finding app, right? We'll go through when, what, and outcome of what will be the other things. So finding an available charging station is a jobs to be done. So there can be a lot of things that can be done through your EV station finding app, right? But if I could define the high level or the basic jobs to be done of an EV charging station finding app, it will be finding an available charging station. But when do you want to do it? What is the scenario? The first scenario is I'm on a long commute or I'm going to my office and my EV battery is running low. This is the situation, right? When do you want to in your job to be done? When does this usually happen? Is I'm on a long trip or I'm commuting somewhere and I find my battery is running low. Now in this case, what do I want to do? So when I'm on a long commute or a trip and my EV battery is running low, I want to quickly find a nearby charging station that's available, right? This is the action that I want to perform. I want to find a nearby charging station. So if you're able to find a nearby charging station, what you can do. So what is the outcome of you being able to find a nearby charging station is I can continue my journey without delays or anxiety about running out of charge. So this is the outcome. If I'm able to understand or I'm able to identify, oh, it's 2 kilometers away or it's just a kilometer away, I don't have anxiety issues. I don't have to, unnecessarily worry about will my charge even run out or will I even not be able to reach the destination or not, something like that, right? So these are three things that you need to define if you're going to define a job to be done. Just for understanding, we'll take another example. Paying for charging easily and securely. This is another job to be done in the EV charging station finding app, right? So So one of the jobs to be done is find the local or find the nearest charging station. Another job to be done using the app is paying for charging easily and securely. But when do I want to do this again? When is I arrive at the charging station and need to pay for the service. So you arrived. So the first job to be done is complete. Say for example, we identified the charging station. Now we have arrived there. That is the second is when this job to be done paying for charging easily and securely. Yes, I arrive at the charging station and need to pay for the service. This is your second job to be done when. And what do you want to do? When you're saying you want to pay for the service, what do you want to do? You want to pay seamlessly through the app without needing to carry cash or use multiple payment methods. This is what I wanted to do. This is when. When is I've arrived at the station and I want to charge is your scenario. What do you want to do? I want to pay for the charge without having to carry cash or multiple payment methods. Okay, this is the second one. Now your third is so that I can complete my charging sessions quickly and conveniently without worrying about payment options, right? So this is the outcome of it. If I'm able to pay through the app, I'll be happy that I don't even have to carry cash. Even if I don't have to carry cash, I'll be able to pay is the outcome of it, right? But why is this important? You can ask me. Why is the job to be done important? Jobs to be done is important because it lets you do a lot of things, right? Prioritize what is the most common jobs to be done of the user. Another one is prioritize on different features that you might want to decide on. So if you're saying here, in this case, right, paying for charging easily and securely, people are saying that they want to do it without having to need to carry need to carry cash or use multiple payment methods. So here you can also think about the possibility of having a wallet within your app itself. Will that even make sense, or will that make the users problem easier? So all of these things you'll be able to identify, right? So these are two examples that we saw, right? And now what we should do is we have to define all the jobs to be done using our app, right? And we'll have to prioritize on which is going to be the first set of jobs that I'm going to solve for the user. So if you have 4 different set of jobs that you can do through the app, you will have to define or identify which is going to be first jobs that I want the users to do. So in case of this, right, you have 4 different, say for example, you have 4 different set of jobs to be done. One is finding an available charging station, right? Real-time status. You're not commuting anywhere. You're just trying to find. You're sitting here at home and you want to find a available charging station. Second one is locating the charging station with easy navigation. The second job to be done is you're somewhere out of place. You're in a completely new place. And how do you find the charging station with easy navigation, right? First scenario is you're in a very familiar place. Say, for example, you travel from your home to college or home to office. Now you're saying, I want to know where is my charging station. This is your very basic job to be done in the first place. The second thing is you're in a completely new place. How do you enable the user to identify a charging station that is nearby, right? The third one is alerts for low battery and nearby stations. So how do you alert the user? This is also another job to be done, right? So not everyone would know how much charge is left until they go check their app, right? But how do you enable them even without them wanting to go change or check the app, right? So third jobs to be done is you send out alerts for the battery and then help them identify the nearby charging station. Fourth one is you're paying for charges easily and securely. So I put this fourth because this is not a very primary action for them to do. They can still use other UPI payment methods to go and do it. So paying for charging and easily securely within the app is not very a primary use case for them. So I've put this in order of priority, saying the first thing is find your station, right? Second one is navigate, help them navigate. And probably these two are the very basic structures that I'll begin with, right? These two are the major things that I'm trying to solve for. So I think we are end of the class for today with this. I will stop sharing. So I think define your user persona, and then based on the user persona that you're defining, try and come up with the jobs to be done that they'll be trying to solve for. Jobs to be done will be different for different user personas, but define your user persona first, and then try and identify the jobs that they'll be doing through your app. Say, for example, in our book exchange app, right? So we are one of the user person as a student. What would be the basic jobs to be done? The primary or the first jobs to be done is how do I search for a book, right? I want to search for a book is the primary scenario. I'm in need of the scenario might be like I'm in need of a book for my next semester. This is the scenario. Now what they do is the second action is I'm going and searching for the book in the app. Second one is if I'm able to find it, the outcome of it is I'm able to get it easily, so I don't have to spend it. I don't have to get a new one for it, so I don't spend too much. Is the outcome of it. So outcome is I save money without getting the new one. So this is the scenario. You need a book for your next semester. The second one is I'm going and searching in the app. Is the action that you're doing. The outcome is I'm not spending too much on the new book. I'm just able to find it uh, on the app, and I also know that my senior is having. I just go and approach him and get it right. So this is how you go define the jobs to be done. Now with this jobs to be done, what I'll be able to do is next class we'll narrow down on what are the user flows, and we'll also talk about what is information architecture and all of that. So yeah. So for the next class, I would want you guys to create create two user personas and then define the different jobs to be done that they would want to achieve through the app.